Good morning, friends. Welcome to another Field Trip Fridays. My name's Steve.
And I'm Tanika. Good morning, everyone.
So I'm so excited to be here today. What are we up to today, Tanika?
So today we're going to be visiting the DPAC, which is the Durham Performing Arts Center. And with us today, we have Taylor, who's the digital marketing manager over there, as well as Josh, who's the technical director. Thank you both for joining us today. So
yeah, thank you.
We also host a different DPS classroom. And so luckily we have some friends that have joined us before. So good morning, Miss Harden's class from Moorhead Elementary. So good to see you all again. Glad you could be with us today as well.
There's your school there. Thank you, Moorhead. Thanks for being with us. Cool. So I just want to remind all the students who are with us, you can type your questions into the chat, or if you can't type, you're welcome to ask folks to help you type. But if you have questions, please send them to us in the chat. We'll either get to them in the chat space, or we'll have our live Q&A after the video. And so I'm super excited to share our trip to DPAC. It was really incredible. Standing on stage was a dream come true. So let's show you what that was like. I'll go ahead and share this.
Hey y'all!
Hi!
My name's Steve.
And I'm Tanika.
Welcome to another Field Trip Friday. Where are we?
Today we are at the Durham Performing Arts Center, downtown Durham.
That is awesome! Have you ever gotten to see a show here?
Yeah, I've seen a couple shows here. I'm really excited to be here today.
Cool, me too. Let's go check it out.
All right, let's go!
Let's do it.
Hi, welcome to DPAC. My name is Taylor Zansberg. I'm the digital marketing manager, and I'm so excited to have you both here.
Yeah,
Let's go check out the theater. Come on, guys.
All right. Let's do it.
Today we're going to be taking you on a backstage tour of DPAC, and I'm here with two of my very special friends, Cade and Langston. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hi.
How old are you guys?
I'm 10.
And how old are you?
7.
And have you been to DPAC before?
Yeah.
What's your favorite show you've seen at DPAC?
Yeah, the Disney Pixar.
And what about you?
I like the Wildcats.
Wildcats. And how many times have you guys been to DPAC?
I
A lot.
know. Probably, yeah, a lot. More than 5, probably.
Do you know how many seats are in the theater? Can you guess?
2,000.
How many do you think?
2001.
Good guess. There's 2,712 seats.
Whoa.
Can you guess how many shows we host a year?
A year?
Yeah, how many do you think come? If there's 365 days in a year,
190.
what do you think?
10,000.
You were close. You were close. We host usually over 200 events a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's cool.
And
On average, like how long does like a show stay here?
so it depends. For Broadway shows, we usually do 8 performances. So they're here for like 5 days, and 2 of those days they have 2 performances.
Okay.
And then for a concert or comedy show, it's usually 1 night, but occasionally, like we had a show called Widespread Panic, and they were here for 3 consecutive nights.
They always do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen them
Yeah,
several times,
yeah.
and it's always like a multi-day
Yeah,
affair.
we were really excited. That was our first 3-night concert that sold out every night.
That's cool.
When did DPAC open?
In 2008. Do you have any other questions?
I thought it was like 2011
Why is there
or
TV
something.
in there?
Why is there a TV in there? The TV backstage, and it helps the person that is making sure everything on the stage goes right be able to see what's happening on the stage. And sometimes they wear a headset so they can tell people, like, move over to the left or move over to the right, or we can't see you, or they can communicate with them and actually see what's going on stage when they're behind and can't see it from, like, because they're not sitting here, they're backstage.
Yeah, it's one like sitting here and just yelling, "Oh no, don't stand there!"
Yeah. So that was
Wrong piece,
question.
So we noticed this black, like, little rectangle back here. What goes on back there?
So that's really cool. Someone sits back there and makes sure that everyone can hear what's going on and that it's balanced, so that if you're sitting in the front row, if you're sitting in the back row, you can still hear it the same volume. And they also help adjust the lights. So when we're on stage, I think they took some shots of like the lights up there. They move them, and they also have different color lights, and so they are controlling all of that.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey Josh,
Hello.
thank you so much for having us here. It is so cool to be backstage at the Durham Performing Arts Center. Can you tell us who you are and what you do here?
All right, well, my name's Josh. I'm the technical director at DPAC. It's great to have everyone here today. You guys are getting to see a spot that most people don't get a chance to see unless you're performing on stage here at DPAC. I am in charge of everything that happens from this rope back.
Wow.
So if all the shows we put on, whether it's a big Broadway show with lots of singing and sets moving around and big fluffy curtains and the Disney princesses running around, I have to make sure that they're happy.
Absolutely.
And that the show happens, which is kind of important.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like I've seen the rope here when I've come to a show. So can you tell us a little bit about what's that doing here?
So with everything being dark, this rope is a little yellow, kind of think like the lines on a street, so you could see them in the dark. Mr. Britt, someone from walking off the edge of the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're not going to get very far because you're going to feel the rope. You're gonna be like, don't go any further. So that, in conjunction with our fancy twinkly little Halloweeny light here, it's called the ghost light.
I was about to say, it seems much more
Yes.
elegant or kind of ornate than it would have to be.
Yeah, so the ghost light in conjunction with this rope prevents people from falling off the stage, so you can see when the lights are all off. Now the ghost light is elegant. Each theater makes their own. So the production staff here at DPAC that work for us in putting on all the shows, we were like, we need a ghost light. So it's the first thing we take off the stage when a show comes in, and when we're done and we say bye to a show and we're done for the night, it's the last thing that comes back out. So
That's so cool.
and then it just is on all the time.
Yeah.
This thing has been on since pretty much March 13th of last year. Our last show was March 12th, March 13th, which was ironically Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And that was when we were going to have a show Friday the 13th. That was the day that everyone was told to stop.
What was
right.
the last show that
The
you all
last
had?
show was a Broadway show by the name of Les Miserables.
So can you tell us a little bit about what we see back here? Tell us a little bit
Okay,
about the floor.
I think you can see the floor here. Ours is actually made by a company in Canada, so this is an import from Canada. And we put in this new floor over the summer. Because we haven't had shows, we've been able to do some maintenance and improvement projects, and one of those was replacing this floor. This is actually a composite plastic. It's basically made up of recycled material. I don't know what's in it. I just know that it's basically plastic, it's not wood, and it's resilient.
Nice.
So this floor is the DPAC floor. If you come see a comedian or a rock concert, rock and roll concert, or a hip hop show, or an R&B show here, you're probably going to see our floor. The comedian will be walking on it. like we are, performing to the audience. If you come see a show like the Disney Princesses or a Broadway show, anything from Aladdin or Lion King, Wicked, Phantom of the Opera, if you've heard of any of those names, they bring everything in and they will actually put their own floor down on top of our floor because their floor has what we call spike marks on them. So when a set comes and goes or an actor comes and goes, they see where the items are supposed to be. And so, not to mention their floors might be painted a certain way that they need it for their look and feel of the show. We can get even fancier with these shows that they will have what we call automated set pieces, which computers basically run. They might be big, heavy set pieces that need to sort of move on stage from time to time and live in front of the audience. In order to do that, they're attached to steel cables and tracks in their floor. And there'll be a crew person who manipulates a computer to make those move. So their floor is vitally important. So it can have everything from spike marks to a look and feel to actual equipment inside of the stage floor that they bring.
Welcome. We're now going to talk about the murals that are backstage. So we're standing where Shrek and the Lion King are, and you'll notice that Shrek took the artwork from the Lion King, which is a big tradition here at DPAC of shows taking artwork from another show and pretending to be that show. So when you look at it, you're like, wait, is that the Lion King? And then you see it says Shrek the Musical, and you're like, oh no, it's Shrek. So every show that comes here paints a mural on our wall to kind of like make a memory of it being here, and then the cast all sign it. So what you see, all these little memes, those are people that were in the cast, and you'll see like the Lion King had a really big cast. There's a lot of signatures there. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things about backstage is just coming back and like reliving all the memories. For the artists, like comedians, they don't usually paint murals, they usually just sign our wall. And how that works is Josh, who spoke earlier, will print out a piece of paper and he'll say like, please sign here, and he'll like put it on the wall, and then he'll have a Sharpie for them, and then they sign the wall.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what happens when you bring a show back? Do they get another mural?
So we don't ask them to sign again, but a lot of them like to do that. So some of them do. And what's cool about the Broadway shows is like DPAC's backstage is kind of so, I don't know if famous is the right word, kind of famous. Like people know that people take artwork from other shows, so they actually think about it ahead of time. Like I know Aladdin, before they came here, they were saying like, we thought about it really hard, and they were very funny. I started to tell that story in the theater. They actually put up like cardboard boxes around the wall so that no one could see what they were painting, and they kept it very secretive. And then at the end, they kind of like did a big reveal. So people get really into it. It's a lot of fun.
So I have a question. So all of the paintings that are here, like all of them are like this. I wonder if you keep on having shows, if it's ever going to run out of room.
People always ask us that, and we always say it's not going to happen. We're not sure though, obviously, but I think we have a lot of white space, and we also have on some of this theater, there's white tiles on the ceiling, so like we could get creative and have people sign the ceiling. The dressing rooms don't have any signatures, so I think we're going to figure it out, but that definitely is a question we always get asked. Oh, hello there! Welcome to the ensemble dressing room. We have 6 of them on this level. This is where the actors and musicians get ready for a show. So you'll notice that some of the light bulbs are not on. That's because they generate a lot of heat, and so we keep them unscrewed until they need to be used. Another thing to note is it's really important that the light bulbs back here match the lights on the stage, so when they do their makeup, it looks the same here as it does on stage. So we make sure that those are all the same. Do you guys have any questions?
Does someone do their hair and makeup, or do they do it?
That's a great question, and for the Broadway shows, usually they do it themselves, and they're really good at it. It's very impressive, and like I've even learned tricks from what they do. But some of the shows, like actually The Bodyguard, which we showed you, I'm pretty sure the lead in that had someone doing her makeup. So it depends on kind of how famous they are and the budget for the show.
Yeah, and since this room is so big, do they practice down here?
Yeah, when there's a band, they often like are tuning their instruments or practicing in these rooms. And then another cool use of the rooms is like when we had a show like School of Rock, when there were a lot of kids in it, the kids actually do their homework in these rooms.
That's so cool.
Welcome to the catering room. This is where the artists get fed. And behind us, I don't know if you can see, but there's some washer and dryers. So that's where some of the costumes get washed. And we'll have like seamstresses and people that sew, fix costumes. So for example, in Newsies, they do a lot of jumping and dancing, and they often rip their pants. And so they have to sew them in between the shows.
Wow. That's cool. That makes sense too. I always wonder about like, costume design and stuff like this.
Since this is like where they eat, is it just the artists that eat, or is it the workers that eat here too?
That's a great question. Usually it's a mix of both. So like DPAC staff get to come here, but there's like schedules. So like the artists come, and then DPAC staff may come.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's usually really cool how it's set up. Like they try and make it really homey, so they'll have like vitamins and like a smoothie bar and like things that they might not normally be able to get. So they make it really comfortable and homey.
Nice.
So one of the fun facts we learned was that when Lion King comes, they actually bring their own washer and dryers, and they make sure they clean their own materials. So when you have shows that big come in, is that typical or is that just for Lion King?
It's not typical. That is definitely, I think, something that's pretty unique to Lion King. Lion King has really intricate costumes, and they're very expensive, and so they're very cautious about who handles them and how they're handled. I wouldn't be surprised though if like Aladdin, I don't know if they bring their own washer and dryer, but has special things because they have like Swarovski crystals, and it's very intricate what's on their costumes. So I know they're very mindful of how they wash things.
Cool.
Why is it called the catering room?
That's a good question. Because so we have a company that it's called a catering company, and they cater, which means they like bring in all the food for them. So that's why it's called the catering room.
Thanks for all these wonderful questions,
Yeah,
y'all.
you guys
That
have
was
good
great.
questions. High five.
Nice. Nice work, y'all. Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
That was so fun. We had so much fun that day. It was incredible to like just standing on that stage, like I said earlier, was so fun. There were some awesome questions in the chat. Thank you, students, for being curious and asking questions. Ms. Harden, would you like to read out some of the cool questions?
Sure. We had two questions that were kind of about size, both about how big is DPAC and then how many lights there are in DPAC.
Great questions.
Well, I can tell you that on the stage, we have about 300 lights at our disposal, but we don't usually use all of them. We probably on average use about 100 to 150. Maybe we get close to 200, but not all of them. And then in the house lights and the lights in the lobby, I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, probably a lot.
You guys should come by and count them. 3 different opinions, maybe see what we think. We have 4 really bright spotlights, though. If you've ever seen a movie, a show, a cartoon, or something like that, where you see someone on stage and there's a big circle of light on them, we have 4 of those. They're so strong and powerful that if that's hitting you in the face, you actually can't see the crowd. So if you think about it, performing in front of a crowd with the spotlight on makes like stage fright go away because you can't see anybody. It's really kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, you just stare into this like bright light. Yep. Just keep going.
It's just you're just looking at the light. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a chance to perform on DPAC stage, and the whole time I was like, I wish I could see my mom.
Yeah.
See, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, like it seems like that's got to be a huge technical challenge, operating up to 300 lights for a performance, and even just the typical 150, just a casual 150 lights being coordinated at a time.
We have some great people who work for us, and then the shows themselves have such talented people. You know, it's all running a computer board essentially to operate all those lights. And yeah, know your computers. It's important.
No doubt. So I just wanted to remind our, well, not remind that you haven't heard this yet, but I wanted to tell you, Josh has another meeting he's got to hop off to pretty soon. So I just wanted to let you know, if you see Josh disappear, it's because he's got to run to another meeting. But
there was just a really cool question that popped up here that says, why do you let them paint on the walls? And I have no idea when it started, but Broadway shows, we call them murals or wall tags. And it's customary in the Broadway world to do those. So when we opened DPAC in 2008, I could not wait to have our first Broadway show put a mural on the wall. It was like so exciting, like, yes, this is going to be great. We'll see what they come up with. And so our very first show in January of 2009, to honor DPAC, they actually took a backdrop, an actual piece of cloth, cut it into a rectangle and glued it on the wall. It's above our water fountain backstage, and all of the cast and crew signed the fabric, and we put plexiglass over it to protect it. And that was really cool. And since then, they all paint. And so it's just a tradition to leave your mark, right? They want to be, you know, hey, we were here, here's our logo, here's everybody who worked on the show that time when they were here. And ever since then at DPAC, you might not have been able to pick up on it on the show, or on the video, but the shows now they spoof each other now. So for instance, we had Phantom of the Opera come in, and they drew the logo for the Broadway show Wicked. And if any of you know what Wicked is, it's about the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. So she's all green. And so then they put the Phantom mask on, they painted the Phantom mask on the witch, and they said Phantom of the Opera, and they all signed it. So now when the shows come in, they all think of a show to spoof, to get really creative and paint. And honestly, I wouldn't remember what the shows we've had were if they didn't paint the walls. So that's handy for us too.
Absolutely. It was cool to see a lot of signatures from other, performing artists too. Like I saw Dolly Parton's signature on there. I saw President Biden, well, now vice president at the time, or past vice president. And there was a bunch of comedians and other people. So it's cool. Like you have these kind of murals that come with the Broadway shows, but you also have a cool record of all these individual performers that come too.
Got to jump, but I want to speak on that is the history involved with all of that. Like you said, we've been so fortunate in Durham and with DPAC to have such a great cross section of talent, whether it's a Broadway show, a comedian, a rock and roll act, an R&B act, rappers. We've done it all, and we've got such a great cross section of history from 12 years. And it's really cool to be able to walk down the halls and see folks who are no longer with us who've signed a wall, to people who've signed it so many times that you lose track of. Sometimes guys come through and they just add a new date because they come every year, or they come every 2 years, and they'll add another date to their brick.
Yeah.
Our friends at, I don't know how many of you see with your families every Christmas, A Christmas Carol during the holiday season. The gentleman who plays Scrooge, he has a brick, and these folks all live in Raleigh and Durham and perform. And every year he walks in and he adds another date. And it's like the whole brick is there's a border of dates around him. And it's really cool. So I've got to run, but I hope that helps. Taylor will take great care of you guys from here. So
thank you so much for being with us, Josh. It was such a pleasure to meet you and spend some time.
Likewise, this was fun.
Yeah.
Come back and see us again next year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Cool.
Taylor, there was another really good question, and they asked, what was the most popular show that's been at the DPAC?
That's a great question. And I honestly am not sure. I can tell you some of the most popular ones were definitely Hamilton. And so ones that are kind of surprising was there's a YouTuber named Jakecepticeye, and Josh tells this funny story about that was the loudest show at DPAC ever because the screaming from the audience was so loud, which is amazing if you think about everyone that we've had. But he's like, that was one of the loudest shows, like they measured it or something, and like the crowd screaming was really loud. So it depends on how you define popular, but I think Hamilton probably was one of the most popular. But then we also do surveys, and we ask guests like what their favorite shows were, and some of the top rated shows are Come From Away, Wicked, Hamilton. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we saw the mural for Come Fly Away between the Shrek and the Lion King's mural.
Yeah, so there's Come Fly Away, and then there's also Come From Away, which are two different shows.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, you did see Come Fly Away.
Yeah.
Cool.
Come From Away has really great music.
It's an awesome show. It's really moving.
Cool. What I think there were a couple.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I saw one that asked about what the first show at DPAC was.
The first show at DPAC, I'm pretty sure, was BB King, who is no longer with us, and it was in 2008. And then Josh and I don't know if Josh answered. I don't know what Josh's first, but my first show that I ever worked at DPAC was Kinky Boots, which was really fun. It's a Broadway show, and it was like my second day at DPAC, and I got to go to a cast party and meet all the stars. And I was like, is this what working at DPAC is like? This is so cool. It was really fun. So it's not like that every day, but we do have a lot of fun days like that.
Yeah, I was about to ask, was your dream, was it true? Was every day that cool?
It wasn't, but it was, I mean, there's been so many, I've done some really interesting things, and I've got to meet really talented people. So that's a lot of fun.
Cool.
For students who are interested in potentially one day working at DPAC, like what are some of the ways that they could do that, or what types of jobs are available there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I work in marketing. So if you want to like promote shows that are coming and tell people about what's happening, that's a great way. We also have Josh, who does the technical director, and he has a lot of people that work on his team, from everyone that does like props to lighting to sound design. We also have people that work in the box office and do ticketing. We also have people that work with corporate sponsorship, so people that like advertise with us. So that's kind of cool, like working with other local businesses or like big businesses like Lexus, Coca-Cola. So there's a lot of opportunities, but just a job tip, I would say network, which means like talking to people. So if you are interested, definitely reach out to me. I'd be happy to like talk to you and answer questions, but that's a great way to get in somewhere and learn more.
Yeah, good advice. So I think we probably got time for one more question. Is there a cool...
And I think this last question is really good, and it kind of segues into something that wasn't in the video. But how long does it take to prep the stage for a Broadway show from the first set-in? So I really wish we had had a chance to kind of show them where the trucks and stuff park. But Taylor, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, Josh would have a better, more accurate answer, but I can give you some idea, which is that it's like really quick. Like it could be, I think, like 48 hours. Like it's not, you would think it's much longer, but like we have one show load in and then we have another show load out. It happens very quickly. And the segment that we didn't get to show was the loading dock, which is where the shows like actually pull up these huge trucks that are, I think, 16 feet long. Don't quote me on any of this, but they're very big. And no, they have to be longer than that. They're longer than that. They're like 60 something. But they like just pull out everything that's in the truck and load it onto the stage. So there's no steps or anything. And it's like very easy. And there's like garage doors that open to the outside and open to the theater. But it happens quickly. Like it's surprising for how many trucks there are, how quickly it happens. And Josh has a team, a really big team. We have local hands like and sometimes hundreds of people are helping. And one other thing I'm going to share that actually is really interesting is that I learned this. Theaters have like a blueprint of what their theater looks like. So they send them to the shows and then they can look and see where everything is. And then they can figure out like, okay, the set's going to go here. This box is going to go here. This wardrobe is going to go here. And they can lay it all out like on paper before they get there. And then they know exactly where everything's going to go when they get to the theater.
That's awesome. I'm sorry that we didn't get to, we got to see that. You got to show it to us when we visited, but we didn't get to show it to y'all in this particular video. And there's so much more of the story of DPAC to share. I hope everyone watching gets a chance to go to DPAC someday. It is an incredible.
Come do a backstage tour one day.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to return. Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for answering all these amazing, curious questions. Thank you for asking them, students. Thank you, Moorhead, for joining us again. This has been
You guys
great.
have great questions. Thank you. And hi, Langston.
So we want to give a special thanks to Taylor and Josh, Kate, Langston, and everybody at the DPAC. We were so excited to be able to see all these little behind the scene tidbits and ask questions and get them answered. It was great. Thank you, Willow and Dr. Linda, and of course, DPAC, Durham Public Schools for being partners in this adventure that we get to take on a weekly basis. And one more shout out, of course, to Moorhead and Ms. Harden's class. And somebody already told us this is your 5th Field Trip Friday. So you guys have been present more often than me. So this is awesome. So thank you all for being here with us again today.
Yeah, thank you. This was our 25th Field Trip Friday. So you were on for the 5th time on our 25th Field Trip Friday. That is so cool. I want to give you a preview of next week. So next week, we're headed back to Duke Gardens. We went there in the fall. We're going to go there in the spring this time, and spring has definitely sprung. As many of you probably have pollen all over everything. We got to go visit all sorts of amazing plants and check out their various plant parts. So we'll be exploring things like roots, stems, leaves, seeds, and flowers, and even some other parts. And we'll even learn how different plants adapt those different parts to function and thrive in their particular environments. So I'm super excited to bring you back to Duke Gardens next time, and I can't wait to see you there. So stay curious and bring your questions for next time, and we'll see you on another Field Trip Friday. Thanks, everyone.